So right now, imagine there's a 12-year-old kid, and he or she has got a great voice, and usually you know this pretty early because you can sing in tune, and you can
Yes.
sing like your favorite artist. Imagine there's a young kid somewhere there who's listening to our chat. Imagine there's another 18, 19-year-old guy who's passing out of college, and he has a band, but he's not too sure whether they'll do much. Or imagine there's another guy in his 30s, he's like, whatever, he's in a corporate job, but he's always liked. Maybe imagine yourself that you might have joined the tea business and always wanted to make the switch, but
And
would
become
not
a
share.
frustrated old.
Exactly, but you were never sure how music went. So if you were to sort of condense everything that you want to communicate, now obviously there's a lot, but if you were to condense and say, man, I've walked this path now for 3 decades, and here's what I've learned from it. This is what I'd like you to do, and this is what I'd like you not to do. What would that be? Namaste Internet, welcome to yet another episode of Soundtrack of Life with me, the Vipin Mishra Project, a podcast where I invite people of immense talent and experience, of decades of experience in the music business, in the music industry, and we have conversations about music. We have conversations about their experiences, their learnings, their mistakes, and hopefully these will have a lot of takeaways for you, the listener, in what you could probably implement, change, adapt. It could be you're a young kid who's looking to make a career in music. You could be somebody who's just passing out of college and not sure whether what path you should take, or you could also be someone older who's looking to make a switch, or somebody who's just genuinely interested in what goes behind the scenes, in what goes on, what goes on to make music. My guest today is a prolific vocalist with, well, decades and decades of experience. I got to know him first when I was in high school. Not even in high school, long before I picked up the guitar, long before I played rock and roll, long before I joined Parikrama, long before any of this happened. And I'm very, very happy to have him in the studio. We've just recorded a new single which I'll be releasing very soon, right here on this YouTube channel. But for now, come along, let's have a chat with the awesome Pervez Quadir. Pervez, my friend,
Good.
awesome to have you here. I call this Soundtrack of Life, by the way. This is a show in which I want to have conversations with many other musicians like yourself, people who've spent a long point in time, gone through the whole journey. I just wanted to have a chat, exchange notes, and hopefully our conversation will help a lot of the younger kids, the middle-aged men, everybody who wants to either understand music better or maybe even try and find a way through this maze of of the music world and the music industry, learning from our experiences and our mistakes. So that's the whole idea. So welcome to Soundtrack of Life. It's awesome to have you here, my friend.
Same here. Pleasure's all mine.
Okay. So for all the guys who've joining us, the idea is that we just recorded a song together, and that's what got us here in the studio. And we said, since we're here, we might as well have this outstanding conversation. So let's start for the sake of all the people who might be listening into this and who don't know you or your work. Just let's put that in perspective. Let's talk about some of the high points, we could call it, or happiest moments or achievements in terms of a musical journey, which can put things in perspective.
Well, as a singer, songwriter, composer, and I write poetry also now.
Yeah.
So the creative process doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That carries on. I mean, whether you do that for a commercial purpose in the studio or you do that for yourself, but you're tinkering and at your stuff every day and trying to make it better, polish it, bring it, revisit it, and take a song. Sometimes a song you can come up with a melody or a verse and then you put it away for 4 or 5 years and then it comes back again. Yeah. So then that song suddenly emerges and then the song becomes the song.
Yeah.
But people don't realize that public memory is very short. I mean they'll see it, like if they like it, then they say, okay, this is a song which defines their lives. But for the artist, for the writer or the composer or the singer, he's been down the line, like, it's means a lot to him, because he's been writing it for 4 years, 5 years, and then suddenly he finds that one niche where the song is complete, and then it's not his anymore; it belongs to the world, because that's an offering which he's giving to the world, and it better be good. So keep working at it, and bettering the melody, making the sound, the production, the composition, the execution, the delivery, the interpretation, the meanings of the words. A lot of things which are there. I mean, people don't realize it. It's very hard. It's not hard work, I'll say. It's, if you like it, it's not hard work at all, because it keeps you going. You're engrossed all the way.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference between carving out a mundane existence, which is only about money, and keeping the next target, or you elevate yourself into a higher consciousness. You can touch divinity, you can touch anything, I mean, with your music. I mean, we all, you and me, we have so many friends who are touching divinity every day with their music.
Yeah.
They are, every day they are, breaking new ground, and they're not determined, I'm sure they're not determined by the economics of it. They're determined by the fact that they want to make a statement, which will be there long after even they've gone, right? So that's what a song is all about, or a music is all about. So where my situation is, I've been still doing music. I've been off the commercial radar for a while. I've not been doing too many live shows, not many recordings, but the creative process is on. And
so now that we're talking about that, let's just take like a couple of steps back. Just run me through live gigs, okay? From what I understand, it started for you back in school.
Yes.
The singing started back in school, and then I think the moment you were from St. Paul's and then St. Xavier's, or in Calcutta?
Yeah, St. Paul, St. Thomas, St. Joseph's, St. Xavier's, all the saints.
All the saints. You've been through all the saints.
Yeah. So,
so the live scene started for you senior school, and then it was
senior school. I
full on when you were in college.
I used to sing with the choir and the school band.
Okay.
So lead this whole choir with in the school. After that, when I was schooling in Darjeeling, the music was there, but it was in the back. Didn't concentrate too much on that. When I came back to Calcutta, and I was studying at St. Thomas's. At that time, I auditioned. I started performing for All India Radio as a Yuvani artist for Western music. I was about 16. So auditioned, I got in, and I used to go there with one accompanist. It could be one friend of mine who wanted to play guitar, or another friend of mine who wanted to be a pianist, who wanted to go and touch the grand piano in the Akashvani Bhavan, and play on that grand piano. So
let us into that scene, man.
These things,
what was the scene like? As in, what
so we used to walk in there. I used to get this weekly, fortnightly letter from All On India Government Service, Shri Pervez Quadir. Kindly come for recording, and so time and so date. For Yuvani Western Music program for 15 minutes to an hour, to half an hour, and all those songs. So I used to prepare all the songs, and I used to go.
So at that point in time, I'm guessing, was this mostly covers?
Yeah, all covers basically. No originals. We used to sing all the all
the popular stuff of that time.
Of that time, a lot of stuff. Some of the old classics
and this is all single take, of
Cliff Richard, and single take.
Yes.
So one guitar, one voice. So I was doing that for a while.
Right.
Then college, got into music.
SHIVA was it then?
No, I was still a solo performer.
Okay.
I used to perform with one pianist or one guitar player.
Right.
And then the band happened, and there was a start of a band called New Horizon, which we were in college only.
Right.
So while the people were busy partying during the winter season, we used to be on stage performing for them. It would be some club or the other, Tollygunge Club, Saturday Club, RCGC. A great crowd and everything, and we knew all the songs, like all the latest pop songs. 60, 70 songs in a night, like this rolled. And it used to be a blast, it was absolutely fabulous. So and then
And how many years did this scene last?
this went on for till college.
Right.
And then I was singing with 2-3 bands. One was New Horizon,
Right.
which was our own band, and
Right.
that broke up. Then I joined SHIVA for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had a band where we used to write original music called Indigo,
Mm-hmm.
and basically that was on through college. And then I was professional by that time.
So what does that mean? How would you term what was the difference between being an amateur and a professional? Was it the money?
Amateur is where you don't earn money.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
play because you feel like it.
Yeah.
You go. So amateur and professional, it was like both. But I became professional at a very, very early
Yeah.
age,
Yeah.
So it was
So basically,
18, 19.
Yeah, so 18, 19, you were making enough money off your music to just sustain a life out of that, right?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those days, I mean, and then
And
I was
all of
left-
it, just correct me if I'm wrong, but all of it was coming from live gigs.
Yeah, live gigs.
That's
mainly,
how,
yeah. And
active-
then the occasional jingle would come up. Some people wanted to record scratch music.
Yeah.
So that was how I got exposed to the jingle.
To the studio scene, so to speak
yeah.
of. Yeah.
So sometimes people call me, come and sing this jingle, come and sing that jingle.
Right.
Some in Bengali, some in Hindi, English.
So was the studio scene and the live
And then
scene
those
also
jingles,
overlapping?
and then those jingles would be sent to Mumbai, and then I would hear
Okay, that's
Gary
how.
Lawyer singing it, or
got it.
Nandu Bhende singing it, the same scratches which were recorded in Calcutta.
Got it.
So fine, not a problem. So we did that. I did that for a while, and then college got over, and then I was faced with the dilemma of my mother and my father, and all they said, okay, now college is over, now take up a job. So I was contemplating, since I studied in Darjeeling and I was close to the industry, the tea industry and everything. So I nearly went off to join the tea gardens
No, but what I don't understand is
in
you were
'86.
right, but at this point you were already doing
Professional
well.
music. Yeah.
So why was there the need for a job? Run us through that also, because probably the kids or the people of today might find that a little odd, but I think the scene was very different. Music was still not a profession back then. Right?
Yeah, it was not a profession at all. It was like always like, I mean, if you went there, you said, okay, you're doing music. और क्या कर रहे हो?
Correct.
मैंने म्यूजिक करते हो? अच्छा ठीक है, म्यूजिक करते हैं। जी हाँ। ये फुल टाइम है क्या? नहीं। उसके अलावा और कुछ करते हो? जी नहीं, कुछ नहीं करते। अच्छा, कुछ नहीं करते हो? अच्छा, ठीक है, नो वरीज। तो वो कुछ नहीं करते हो का जो सीन था, तो उसने कहा कि अच्छा ठीक है, अभी कॉलेज हो गया भाई, अब कुछ करिए, जॉब वॉब का इंतज़ाम। तो वो टी गार्डन्स में असम में वो इंटरव्यूज़ के लिए मैं गया। फिर वहाँ पे वो उल्फा का प्रॉब्लम होने लगा।
Okay, so you had to leave there.
Then I was told no, don't go there.
Yeah.
Thankfully, some of my friends from Bombay came,
Right.
and we were doing some shows in Tollygunj Club.
Right.
So my friends, I owe them, really amazing guys. The guys from Rock Machine and all these people, they came. They said, man, Pervez, I believe you were looking for a job and all that. I said, yeah. He said, why don't you try and come and sing in the industry in Mumbai? That's. And I remember Nandu Bhende, rest his soul in peace. He and Leslie and all these people also were talking. He said, no.
And you knew them through the live circuit?
Yes, live circuit.
Okay.
I was already, the band was closing up our band because again, the pressures of work, and also our mainstay in the band, Bunty, he wanted to leave and he quit music altogether after that. So he joined ITC, and that was it. The rest of the people joined SHIVA and all that. So we were contemplating what to do.
Yeah.
So I came to Mumbai
Right.
and for an interview with Dentas. Did that interview, and then I was here.
But then you set the scene on fire for many years to come, didn't you? In the
Then
studio, in the jingle.
I was left in Mumbai with 60 rupees in my pocket
Okay.
and a train ticket home.
Okay.
So I remember doing that jingle with Louis, and then my friend Ehsaan came and said, no, you must stay. You got a voice. Just hang in there. So these people were very supportive of me, very, very supportive. And I mean, delivered whatever the music jingle goods were supposed to be delivered, and then suddenly, 4 jingles, and then 10, then 15, and then it went on.
Yeah.
And then there was incidentally, yes, when I was in college, I was contemplating on becoming a film director,
Okay,
So,
that interested you back then as
yeah,
well. as
after
it does
college,
now.
yeah. So that's it. It does still
Yeah.
does. So I applied to the FTI for film direction, but there were very few seats.
Right.
So then I didn't make the grade that time. So I thought probably the next year again I will apply.
Yeah.
But by that next year, I'd already signed up with HMV, and there was an album.
Oh.
So there was no.
So there was so from what I understand, your accession to the ascent was a very quick and painless one.
Meteoric, yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, it was quite fast.
Yeah, it was fast. It was not with too much struggle. Everything just sort of
No,
flew
I don't
well.
know. I don't know how that happened, but
Yeah.
I made the move to Mumbai, and my wife was very, very supportive. I owe
course.
most of my whatever I achieved. More than that, I have, yeah, she's been part of that struggle of mine, and she understands well.
Yeah, of course.
Another lady who did that was my mother.
Yeah.
So these two people, very, very strong personalities on their own rights. They just helped me to guide me, in the correct thing. Now, the FTI Pune thing, the next year I didn't apply because by that time I had been introduced to HMV, and then the other album happened, and did this album called Mere Arman.
Okay.
And the music director was Ram Lakshman,
Okay.
who was also had done Maine Pyar Kiya those days.
Right. So you used to hot property at that time.
Yes, so he had these set of songs. So I used to go and.
So this was a non-film album.
Yeah, it was a non-film album. Yes.
Okay.
So the songs written by the late Rajesh Johri and Shyam Anuragi and all these people. We did that album. Uttam Singh Ji was the arranger those days. I didn't know he was going to be so huge. I mean, as in Qadar.
Yes, yes.
That was quite an experience because I was just 20 to 23 years old.
So how was the transition for you creatively? Because right now the entire ecosystem that you just sort of told me, from the music directors to the arrangers to the writers, they're all very, very mainstream Bollywood.
Correct.
Right? And you and I, both of us, we come from a completely different scene, right? We come from
Yes.
our experience, our exposure to music is very different. So how was that?
I remember a lot of people from those days there were two industries. There was the advertising music industry,
Right.
and there was the film industry.
Yeah.
There were two separate entities.
Yeah.
Now it's all merged into one. With the advent of satellite television, it's all merged into one.
Well, I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, I mean, they're
Those
closer
days-
than before.
Yeah,
probably.
but those days there were not, there were two different industries. The advertising industry would function on its own, and the film industry would function on its own. So, but then the crossovers would happen.
Yeah, of
At
course.
times there were people who were doing the crossovers, but the
Yeah.
crossover is not as prevalent as it is now. Now you can't even, there is no middle path. It's all merged in. Like, you had voiceover artists who were voiceover artists who would do that. But today, those same voiceover artists are not needed anymore because Amitabh Bachchan is doing the voiceover. So you can't beat that, right?
Those are the changes that have happened.
Yeah,
now,
so
right?
Pat Sharma was there, great voiceover artist. Nikhil Kapoor, I remember. I've
Of course.
seen them up close, up
Yeah,
front,
yeah.
dubbing in front of me.
Yeah, absolutely. Great
Brij
voices.
Bhushan Sahani Sahab was there.
course.
All these people, great.
Apparently, he's a great singer as well.
Fabulous music
Yeah,
composer.
music
Yes,
composer.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
So all
Sorry.
these people. So now, on the other hand, then you have if Shah Rukh Khan wants to dub and Amir Khan wants to dub the voiceover, who's going to stop them?
Yeah.
So these grey areas have merged.
No, but what I'm more keen to
So
understand.
मैं ये कह रहा हूँ.
हाँ, बोलिए.
Sorry, आपके ये.
No, आप complete करो.
Tell me.
No, what I was saying is that I always found that there's now that distinction between the influence of the West and somebody who's grown up with that sort of exposure,
जी.
and somebody who's grown with completely, let's say, forget about mainstream, but Bollywood music and all. It's not that different because Bollywood music in itself has become a mishmash of many, many things, right? But back in that time when you signed that album with the Saregama, or
Yeah.
for that
See,
matter,
that
that time
album-
the scene was very different. So I mean, how did you adapt?
No, that
Because you were not even singing in Hindi when you were singing with the band, and all,
Those-
but your diction is
yeah.
always good. Your language is
that's
with Urdu
because-
and all has been
because of
proficient,
the home,
very proficient.
Because of the home front,
yeah.
we speak a lot of Urdu at home, and there's a good basically influence on literary, poetic, whatever, all that stuff has been there. So Now this album which we did with which I did with Ram Lakshman ji, that this was basically, I mean, those songs could have also could have been used in any film also. And
Yeah, so they were
fitted
film
in.
songs basically.
Yeah, filmy pop.
Yeah,
I would
yeah, yeah.
consider it, like, now also I'd call it like filmy pop.
So
Not like
so they probably got you in to get away from that sound. Probably you were pulling that mainstream, the filmy pop the pop part is what you were getting to the music or to the performances, I would imagine.
maybe yeah, maybe that you could be right over there. But the thing is, I didn't I just did the thing as as I was told. I said, I just, because these are all big names,
Yeah.
and for me it was a learning curve.
Right.
So I stayed trying to understand what it was. And then at that time again, there was no satellite TV, there was just one Doordarshan network. At that time there was this program called Pop Time. So Pop Time was beamed from Delhi Central Production Center, City Fort.
Okay.
So they had all the pop stars and everything. So
Right.
I got one slot there thanks
Yeah.
to Sharon Prabhakar.
Okay.
So I went there and sang Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Yeah, Tears of Yours.
Yeah. So I don't think anyone did that at those days. So when that thing came out, that got a lot of good,
Yeah.
feedback and everything.
Right. And that sort of propelled
Yeah, that I mean, you can do Western pop
yeah.
on national network.
Wasn't that the time when they used to have this thing for New Year's Eve? Was that the one?
Yeah, New Year's
Yeah.
Eve and everything. Yes. So that was there, and
The
then
whole
I did-
nation was glued there because, I mean, that was the only
Yeah,
channel.
That was the
and
only
that was-
channel,
yeah.
correct. So most of the advertising work was happening. Then I started.
So how many live gigs do you think? How many jingles do you think? How many film playbacks do you think you've sung so far?
Quite a bit actually.
But still,
bit.
take a wild guess. I mean, I don't know.
Really, it's quite a bit. Quite a bit.
yeah.
Actually, the problem, I'll tell you what. The thing was, thank God, and, like I generally tend to sing in the higher register, so my voice is built for the higher register.
Yeah.
So at times, what happens is when you're doing the higher register, so I would dub the English stuff, and then I would come away, and then the Hindi people would come in to sing the Hindi version of the higher register, and they wouldn't manage.
They
So
couldn't.
they had to call me back.
Yeah.
So I did that in Hindi, and then my Hindi was not bad. I mean, it was good. So they said, okay, this works.
Yeah.
Then they would call in the South Indian people to sing the high register. Then they would also not manage. Then I would be called in to sing the South Indian
Right.
parts, and I would manage. Then the Punjabi thing, high register, they couldn't manage. So I had to. So I landed up. Thank God. I mean, so instead of one jingle, I started singing 7 versions of that jingle
Right, all
in
the
different
languages.
7 languages.
Yeah.
So that, and then that slowly, that built up that whole reputation. Yeah, he can deliver.
Yeah.
So it's all about delivery. I'm not saying like, I've done a lot of work. I mean, at the end of the day, I've worked with some very, very some people are all, they're fabulous musicians, music directors here, but some of them, I won't like names, very highly overrated music directors also, who think that their work is like something like, the greatest since anything, So at the end of the job with them, I remember coming away after having delivered their stuff, coming away with with a big headache. Because it was not my cup of tea, but as a professional, I
Had to deliver,
still
yeah.
delivered it.
Fair enough.
And then at the end of it, like I was left with this whole,
Yeah.
I never told them that
Yeah.
because, it was not important, because that was for me.
Right.
I just said, okay, be professional. And so I have done a lot of ghost voicing also for a lot of Hindi songs, film songs.
Yeah. Ghost voicing would mean that actually you can hear your voice on the track, but it's been credited to somebody else. Is that what you're saying?
I've been called in to, sing the track when it's in its nascent stage. And we compose the track and everything, and we make the track. I get the payment, and then I walk.
Yeah.
And then they get somebody else to sing it.
Yeah, of course. And that you can hear your own inflections and choice of notes in that person's dub.
And sometimes what has happened is then they suddenly realize that after that person has dubbed it, they're still not very happy. So they're keeping the backtrack of my voice at the back.
Yeah.
So I can hear it nicely, like I can hear my own
But you're
voice
not
at the back.
credited with that.
At times I have not been credited, yes.
Yes.
I leave it to the industry as part of the system.
Yeah.
Accept and move on.
You know what the strange thing is that the time period that you're talking about,
90s.
is 90s. We're now in 2023.
Correct. Yes.
How much of all of this has changed in terms of the process? I'm not too sure.
All right.
Because even in today's day and age, the presentation of a song has to happen with what is now you could call it maybe a non-celeb singer, right? Because the celeb singers are the guys who have already established themselves as major Bollywood playback guys, right? So now those guys you're only going to call when you got a fat check to write. Now, having said that, the younger kids or the guys who haven't made or who are more affordable are the guys who come and sing it. It still happens, and then once the track goes through, the celebrity singers still have to come and hear something and then they hear that person's track. The only thing is probably, I mean, now these guys are good enough or better or whatever, but they manage that. You don't need to use that track at the back. Sometimes you use the harmonies, because I mean, if the track that we did as well, Mera Pehla Pehla Pyar, I retained your harmonies.
Correct.
The KK redubbed the main part, but all of the harmonies were like there's your voice, my voice, everything remained there on the track. So yeah, that happens, but that's more to because you already come to that sound and there's a certain amount of texture when three people are doing harmonies rather than just that one guy is doubling it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the scene hasn't changed much, man. The scene remains the same. So I'll tell you what, advertising, films, and now OTT, which I think is on television. So now all these are essentially what they're like motion pictures, right? So music for motion picture still remains the only avenue for music.
Yes.
So essentially, like I've always been saying, in our country we only had the film industry, and music is being made to piggyback, or maybe the film industry is piggybacking on the music industry. I don't know which way it is, but there is no the music industry apart from the film industry as yet is not strong or is not lucrative or is not remunerative, and it is not here to challenge as yet.
Music, the thing is that you have to understand the thing about music is music has been industrialized over the last 100 years. Before that, music has always been used as a vehicle for religious expression.
Yeah.
In every religion, be it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And people have used music in every form. And they say that you can communicate with the gods if you really, which is that I think it can music can create avalanches, raise the spirits, raise the dead. All these things are there, all right. This is coming down from time immemorial. Now, when the industrialization happened, now the industry, music is industry. They've made a music industry. Now the industry has to work according to industry standards, standardizations and specifications. All right, you could be selling toothpaste, you could be selling condoms, and you could be selling
even
wafers,
flowers, flowers. I think
you can be selling basically shoes, and you can be selling music. So now the format is like, somebody who's a MBA, who's done his MBA from IIM, and he's suddenly one day he's selling condoms, next day he's selling basically diapers, the third day he's selling music. So how he's going to use the same kind of approach, basically how to sell basically.
Correct.
Right. Now he's not going to get, now fortunately these guys have made, the majors have made one thing called artist and repertoire. Artist and repertoire is the crunch
A&R
point. A&R, where you take the artist, you create the repertoire, you see what kind of music is there, how you market him.
Yeah, but I'm sorry to cut you off, Pervez, but this whole A&R culture never really took off in our country. It never existed back in the 90s. It did not and does not exist now because it's still only the major labels. Also, their biggest hits are just film music. None of these guys from Universal, to Sony, to EMI, to Warner.
Why it hasn't taken off is because there is industrialization, and systemization creates nepotism, and that nepotism is a bane for the music industry itself. All right. So what happens is, the person who comes up with a great album may not see that album find its proper niche, He may not find it. But a substandard album because it's backed by a film, that album will sell more copies
100%.
than an absolutely phenomenally produced album.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you notice, I mean,
I think that's the might of the distribution system, the marketing mechanism, all of that. I agree.
that's what industrialization has brought in.
Yeah.
Now coming back to, but music is a very, very sensitive thing. In India, what happens is, in the pie chart, there's like, 50% is Bollywood music, 30% is religious music, devotional music. That's 80. All right. Even a flop movie, which has more eyeballs because of his action cinema and everything, and if the soundtrack is not too good, it'll still sell more than the 10% pie chart, which is dominated by the pop music or the indie label industry. Yeah. So you have to, anyone who wants to become a success has to ride with the film.
Yeah.
The film tie-up has to be there, and then it creates that whole thing.
Yeah.
Now,
And that hasn't changed for, I mean, I don't think it's going
and
to change.
believe me, my two pies bits on this is like, I'm not an authority to, make and pass judgments, because
yeah, I agree.
I'm
Neither
happy.
am
No, I'm just saying I'm happy that, like I have, you and me have certain friends who have made it, who are, brought about the change in the industry, in the way of thinking, in the way of, technological advancement, which is good. I mean, it's been done by our generation people only.
Yeah, a lot is,
Yeah.
A lot of the good stuff is coming. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that all of the good stuff or the bad stuff, the stuff that is raking in the big bucks, remains to be the stuff that comes via the distribution mechanism or by being featured in Bollywood.
By the distribution mechanism of Bollywood. Correct. That's true.
So anyways, going back, I think Dard Dil with Sony. What year was that, Pervez?
It's been more than 20 years now.
Right. So that was 90.
Funny part is that album still sounds fresh as we hear it now. Also, it sounds as fresh as ever.
Yeah, I agree.
And there was a freshness in the sound which is still there, and people say that it was still at least 8-10 years ahead of its time.
Yeah.
So that's why it's still relevant at the moment.
Yeah.
I have other songs along with it. The precursor to that, I couldn't get another label because the mercurial changes in the industry was so much that nowadays, now you don't have crossword, you don't have rhythm house, you don't have physical CDs anymore. You have music is being determined by aggregators. Royalties are determined by aggregators. You don't have physical CDs and.
So that's a definitely a conversation by itself. That how the music scene has changed. So let's get back to your. That was your first album as an artist, right?
Yes.
The albums that you did before were the film. Filmy way of making music, in which there is one music director, there are 2-3 lyric writers, there is an arranger because the music director himself doesn't play any instruments, and then there is this whole thing, and then you are called back. So that is, although the album with Saregama or HMV was an album, it was more of a playback thing. It was not your expression, so to speak.
No.
And I believe that the first time you got to have your expression was with Dard Dil.
That's correct.
Which happened with Sony. Now that was a time period where I think Lucky Ali came a couple of years before. There was Rock Machine who just sort of changed their name to Indiscreet, I believe, somewhere around that time, because they had gotten some international exposure. There was Colonial Cousins. So that was, there was Alisha's
Made in
India, which was produced by Bidu, right? I think so, yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, and so, I mean, the indie pop scene or the indie music scene, non-film scene, let's call it, was sort of getting some bit of push from major labels who just made an entry there.
Right.
And I sort of also remember that time. It was towards the late 90s, essentially, 96, 97 onwards. So what I want to understand is that, and Dard Dil was very well accepted and received by the audience. There was a couple of music videos, and one of them was a big music video. By big, I mean they spent a decent amount of money. It looked good. Music sounded great. You had some great musicians on the album.
Right.
Yeah, it was produced by Zubin.
Yes.
Awesome keyboard player, and pretty much I would say the backbone of Indiscreet. And so with all of this, why is it that it did not result in a sort of a sustained trajectory from there on? Why is it that the likes of, let's say, Lucky did a second, third, fourth album, so did Colonial, so did I mean, what was it that you think went against you?
Well, I recorded the raw version of Darde Dil in the studio, in Farhad's studio. And
This is Farhad Wadia.
Farhad Wadia.
Yeah, so Farhad Wadia is the
My
gentleman
dear
who, independence rock.
Independence rock.
Yes, of course.
So he heard the demo and he was very, very impressed with it. He says, I would like to produce this at some stage. And he was, he took the initiative and he called Zubin. He made Zubin hear this. And they called me in for a meeting and we said, okay. So he decided to, sign me on. And
who, Farhad?
Farhad and myself. Yeah,
Okay.
Farhad was.
So he was your producer?
Yeah, he was the producer. And then he took up the onus to produce this album.
Okay.
And it was up to him. All I told him was that I have all these songs, 10 songs, and I want the creative control of the album.
Right.
I don't want any interference from anyone till I feel that it's done.
Yeah.
So he says, okay, and he took it upon him that he will get me. He was in touch with Sony Music, and they had heard some of the raw passes of this. They said they liked it, so they said, okay, keep developing it. We did the songs over a period of 1 year, and Zubin, arranged and rearranged, remastered, reproduced the songs. Apart from the two major songs, Darde Dil and Kahan Kho Gaye, which the videos were made, we had 2-3 other awesome songs. There's Beqarar and Cha Rahi Hai Gata and Mohabbat. So that album got released, but by the end of it, there were a lot of differences of opinion between the management and myself. In the sense that, like, I wanted to do certain things in my way, but they wanted me to, follow what was down on the contract.
Yeah.
So we were over there. There were some differences. So at the end of it, we finally managed to release the album, but after that they didn't show any keenness to get back and do a second album. And while there was no talk about doing another second album on the cards, and they just that way.
Right.
So maybe they they didn't promote it according to that, maybe because they felt that I don't want to kind of dwell in the past anymore.
Right.
Because as a creative person, I said it's time to move on and create something more.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
you'd already put your best foot forward. That was over and done with. Yeah, that's how.
Yeah,
most
those
people
9 songs were all crafted by myself and everything. And I wanted at least my expression was out there.
Yeah.
And that it still holds. Later on, Sony called me in to do. Sony Music called me in, and they compiled some other projects.
Okay.
As in remixes and all that stuff. So the relationship, I was still cordial and everything.
Right.
And then the management changed, so the old people have left. There are new other people on the block. So I'm in touch with them. I keep sounding them out with any new music which I have. But there are no more albums happening nowadays. So people are willing to do singles or
But is that something that you don't want to do?
I can see the thing is that as a musician, as a creative person, I would always like to produce a song and release it into the market.
Yeah.
That goes without saying. That's how that's how we should do that. We shouldn't keep it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Once it's ready, it should be always out there. All right. So I'm looking for a label to
Why a label? What do you think a label will bring that you can't do by yourself, or what that you can't do with friends like me or friends like anybody else? You've got many friends who are arrangers, producers, and these days it's easier to record. Technology has made it much easier to record. Technology has made
Well, I was looking for a label earlier till you convinced me to do this.
Exactly. Exactly. Go indie, bro. You go indie.
Yeah, indie. Fine. So I put out my music on Artist Aloud. That's also a very, very good,
Yes, they are.
noble enterprise.
It is noble.
By
I
so
agree.
many. Maybe like the way they're going around it requires some tweaking and some more rethinking.
Yes.
But apart from that, it's a very, very noble thing.
Yes.
Because the other sad part is that we are a country of 2 billion people, and this industry has got some great singers. But there is also another mutual admiration society at work,
Yeah.
which keeps passing
It's a small incestuous circle which keeps banging each other and saying how good the bang was.
Keeps passing the icing on the cake among themselves.
Correct.
While the rest of the industry languishes.
Correct.
Anyway, that's for another day.
That's for another day. Absolutely. Okay, man. But tell me something. If you would just imagine now. Maybe I'll put this right in the beginning of the podcast. This section that we're going to talk about. So right now, imagine there's there's a 12-year-old kid, and he or she has got a great voice, and usually this pretty early because you can sing in tune, and you can sing like your favorite artist, and then these days you can record a video and you can hear yourself. So imagine there's a young kid somewhere there who's listening to our chat. Imagine there's another 18, 19-year-old guy who's passing out of college, and he has a band, but he's not too sure whether they'll do much. Or imagine there's another guy in his 30s, he's like, whatever, he's in a corporate job, but he's always liked. Maybe imagine yourself that you might have joined the tea business and always wanted to make the switch, but
and become a frustrated old.
Exactly, but you were never sure how music went.
Yeah, and I would be sitting in the club and drinking my ass off and then singing all in my shitty voice, and then driving back drunk.
So all of those who might be listening in.
All right. Hi everyone, stay tuned, we're still talking. I hope we're not boring you. Yeah.
So if you were to sort of condense everything that you want to communicate, now obviously there's a lot, but if you were to condense and say, man, I've walked this path now for 3 decades, and here's what I've learned from it. This is what I'd like you to do, and this is what I'd like you not to do. What would that be?
See, the thing is that we're living in an era, not us. We didn't, neither did you, neither did I. But these kids today, the young kids of the generation today, they're living in the era of multitasking. All right. Now, multitasking is a new word. I had to learn it also on the job recently. My children taught me how to multitask about 5-10 years back. All right. If you don't keep up with the Joneses, you're going to be left behind. All right. So, this multitasking kid, you need to, compartmentalize what you want to do. When you want to do music for a living, you do that. Apart from that, you don't kill yourself trying to do that, all right? Or kill some relative of yours, your mother or your father, by trying to do that. Rebel without a cause. You listen to what they have to say. You do what you have to do, and you do your music, all right? And since you're in the multitasking era, you can release your music, and you can also carry on doing whatever you want to do, which will keep your parents happy and your family happy. For an old man who wants to do music, you're welcome to do your music. Just make sure that you don't piss your wife off and your children off, and you do that. You go and sing your songs, and release your albums. It's easier to release your music today. You don't need to win a Grammy award. You need. It's all about self-expression, right? So there are so many avenues where you can just self-express yourself, but make sure that you don't cut down on the variables, in the sense that do it to your best of your ability. Not don't do it कि नहीं अभी चलता है. Mediocrity attitude cannot be there.
Correct.
You have to, even whatever you deliver to the people, you make sure you give it your best.
Yes.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say. And why shouldn't you sing? You have a voice, sing.
Yeah.
You have feet, dance.
Yeah.
You want to do whatever creatively you want to express yourself, you do that.
Yeah.
And don't let anything hold you back. That's what I'm saying. And find ways to fuel. If you can't fuel, find ways to fuel your passion. You have to find ways. I'm not saying go and take a gun and rob a bank. I'm not saying that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be criminal and extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you remember, there's a movie called by Peter Fonda, Henry Fonda's son, did a movie called The Outlaw Blues. It was a fabulous film, and you know how these people try to curb him and how he gets the radio channel and he's running from pillar to post in the US and he's releasing his music, playing his music through. Fabulous film. Yeah. So that kind of thing. Like, see, like today, like, you know, like, I mean, with me, I mean, you know, I'm out of the circuit. I mean, I'm not in the loop. But today, you know, it's an honor and it's a pleasure, real pleasure that my dear friend Vipin has called me into the studio. He's dubbed a song, and hopefully we'll dub some more.
Absolutely.
And you know, the process of self-expression will keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, that's the main thing. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, so I think
tomorrow may hold.
Exactly, and I think in a nutshell, like I believe that, you know, there are two kind of people: the people who walk for a specific destination, and then there are people who are just in love with walking. And I think to be any sort of an artist, you need to be the latter. You need to be somebody who loves the process. You need to be somebody. If you're a singer-songwriter, you need to love the fact that you'll get up with an idea which will be half and not full, and you'll write it and you'll work on it, and it's not necessarily needs to be that one song which is released and accolades are won. I'm sure all of us like the accolades, and all of us like our audience to be in millions and billions. I mean, there's no denying that. But having said that, I would imagine somebody who's into the craft, even when he or she gets there, will not stop there. So I think regardless of where you reach, I think the whole fun of the matter is, like I said, in the walking, right? Of course, the waypoints are important. Those little spots where you reach, enjoy the view, and say, "This has been great. Now I need to move on." And that move on necessarily not to be to another peak. It could be down the valley where you know, and then that's a whole new journey of coming back up. So I think that's the important part. I think that's the whole example I would get even for this song, Gunguni.
It's a great song.
Thanks, man. Thank you. I mean, we're not being the.
I enjoyed singing it.
Thanks.
And also featuring in it. This was really amazing.
Absolutely. But you see how memory works. I mean, when the melody was done and the lyric was done, and I knew the kind of voice, you know, that I would love, because the lyric, I think what Kapilji has written are quite traditional in the choice of the words. They are quite rustic in some parts, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, the melody is completely non-rustic, and the arrangements are completely, I would say, Western.
Nice.
There's no. So that's how it happens. And in my mind, you've sort of epitomized that situation in a beautiful way. I mean, you're one of the few voices whose, the moment you hear them, you know that it's the influence of Western music is very clear. It's clear in a couple of ways. It's clear in the way you hold on to notes without hitting too many or flurry of notes between those two. It's very evident in your scale, because like you said, your register is really expansive towards that higher bit, and it's clear that you've sung so much in that higher range that no longer is your voice strained in the higher range. So there's so the increase, like when I was recording in the mic, I was looking at the waveform, and your waveform right from when you're in your low parts or the mid parts to the highest parts, there is not much of a jump in amplitude, which means what? Which means two things. One is you know how to use the mic, obviously, to modulate that. But secondly, it means that the projection of your voice does not exponentially increase with higher notes, which is what happens to a lot of singers who are not used to singing there. So I mean, but for me, you're the epitome of getting all of that whole Western.
Hey, thanks for the analysis, man.
Yeah, the Western
I just
vibe.
Didn't think about that.
Right, but your pronunciation is not anglicized at all. Which I have a problem with people who are singing Hindi with Western pronunciation. Unless and until it's a directive, then it's different. But I have an issue with that, and I have also an issue with people who are singing English in a very, non-English way. I mean, it is the language supposed to be spoken with a certain bit of correctness.
Correct.
Same is with Urdu and same is with Hindi. So for me, you were the absolute epitome, and that's why, the morning walk, my wife and I show how you're walking and say, man, let's just give Pervez a call, and that's how we're here.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
And this is an extension of that song. We're getting to chat, we're getting to exchange.
No,
That's
we
it,
had
man.
done another song earlier. If you remember, we did that Tujhse Roshan Hai Duniya.
Oh man, what a track!
That also an
what a
amazing track.
That's what you have with artists a lot, right? That's
Yeah,
already
that's
there.
it
though.
also, yeah.
But I love the sound of the track even back then.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just hearing it the other day. It's got this whole again. It's got that White Snake. I don't know.
A rock song.
Yeah, rock song.
side.
Yeah, it's got a rock. And
true.
I also with all this time because that was the starting point, and I always like
Yeah.
taking the path of most resistance when it comes to music production.
Yeah, we've done a few great
So
tracks. I mean,
yeah, just
yeah.
trying to keep away. But anyways, awesome chatting with you, man. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you want to leave the listeners with? Anything that comes to mind?
Well, I would just say that, I mean, you know, I mean, keep tuning in to listen to us.
Yeah, that's as good an advice as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully we, you know, bring more music and guess keep pushing the envelope. I mean, as
Absolutely.
people would say.
Yep.
We have, we put down that song, that slow track.
Yeah, we got
Hopefully.
another ballad that
Yeah.
Pervez and I worked on. Let's see when that comes.
Let's
But
see.
as of now, thanks so much,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
Pleasure
Yeah,
chatting
same
with
here,
you. Pleasure having you behind the mic. And for all the guys who've listened in,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. This is just about chatting. This is just about two friends catching up over music. And well, I'm hoping that you guys had something that you could take back, something that you could implement, maybe change, adapt,
Or ask us and we will.
Oh, absolutely. Or ask us. I think this might this will go on YouTube as well. So I mean, there's always that
You
section
can
of
always
comments.
ask us and we can always,
Absolutely.
you know, revert.
Absolutely.
And, you know.
Absolutely. We'll do that. So any questions, please leave in the comments. And thanks a lot again. This is Pervez Quadir and Vipin Mishraproject saying bye for now. We'll see you in the next one.
Okay. Bye.
Ciao.